Levarme la moustache en la capucha. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki tacatiki. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Siento patanilo, mira tacatiki puletica. Sani levarme la moustache en la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm going to talk about the top 10 stories coming out of going in and coming out of training camp, along with a bonus story that needs to be focused on, and that needs to have a big focus on it. So we're going to start with story number one. The rookies' development this year. There were a lot of rookies that were drafted this year that a lot of us weren't really comfortable with the team drafting. But we're going to have to see if Ron and them actually can convince us that these were the right guys to pick. Even though they're here, there's a lot of things that we have to see. We have to see what Sammis Reyes, what his development and growth is going to be. We're going to have to see if John Bates can make this transition that they say he was actually probably a better receiver than what was on display when he was back in college. We're going to have to see if Derek Forrest is actually the guy, Derek Forrest. Derek Forrest is actually the guy to help out, even to be a backup when it comes to any safety possibly getting injured. We're going to have to see what Camaron Cheeseman really is. Again, you're talking about a stalwart guy who's no longer there. That's going to be something big. Samuel Cosmi, we have to see what his growth is going to be. We're going to have to see what these rookies come with that's going to make us feel comfortable about their development as they go on in this Washington organization. Number two is the linebackers unit improved. Remember, this was our Achilles heel last year. This was the unit that kind of broke us when it came down to certain things. Big plays across the middle, tight ends kind of killing us, quarterbacks feeling like they can run on us. This was the unit that was slightly the cause of this whole thing. So we're going to have to see if this linebacker unit is in fact improved. Is Jamin Davis the actual guy to be the full-time, all-time, albeit linebacker for us? I mean, I hope he is, but we will see. Cam Curl's true position. Cameron Curl did an amazing job last year. I mean, he played this Buffalo nickel position, then went in there and started playing the safety, the strong safety position. And to be quite honest, he almost pretty much mimicked DJ Swearinger. Remember when DJ Swearinger was here, DJ Swearinger was able to switch from strong to free like it was nothing. And remember, DJ Swearinger was on a tear the same season that they released him. So Cam Curl, to me, I think he can make the transition to free safety if they really let him do it. He no longer needs to be in that Buffalo nickel position anymore. And it's time to sit up there and let him develop as the free safety he should become. Next, Matt Ioannidis' recovery. We don't know. Did he lose strength because he tore, I think it was the pectoral muscle? Did he lose strength? Is he stronger than what he was? Is he still going to be the pass rusher that he is? Thank God it wasn't a knee, but we still have to see if he can still have the strength that he had prior to the injury. And at the same time, does he keep it up? Now, again, it's coming up on a contract year for him. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to play well, but we do have to see what his return is when it comes to him recovering from this torn pectoral muscle that he had in the offseason. Number 5, the revamped offensive line. We're talking about this team has made a very drastic change along the offensive line. We're talking about the fact that, Jerron Christian is no longer here. Charles Lucas is now here. Charles Leno is here. Cornelius Lucas is moving to the right side. You're talking about you've now got Morgan Moses is now gone. You bring back Eric Flowers along with having Wes Schweitzer there. Understand, Eric Flowers, this is a new offense for him. This is a new coaching staff for him. This is not the staff that developed him. This is not the offense he left. He was in before he left. So there's some things that might have to happen there. We don't even know if he's even as good as he was prior to coming back, because again, we're talking about the fact he's going to be learning a new system, and this is a different coaching staff along with a different offensive line coach. So we're going to have to see what happens with this revamped offensive line. Sadiq Charles, what is his role going to be? Again, go back to Samuel Cosmi. Is he developing like he's supposed to? We're going to see about this type of thing. Number 6, Antonio Gibson's development this year. Does he become the Swiss Army knife that everybody said he was going to be when he was drafted? That's something that is a big thing for us. We have to see if he does make this transition into this end-all be-all guy in this offense, or do they rely more on Curtis Samuel to be that type of guy, due to the fact that Antonio Gibson may not be ready to take on that type of responsibility? We'll definitely see. Number 7, Terry McLaurin's role in this offense. We have to admit, Jay Gruden got Terry McLaurin the ball. We saw that. We know what Terry McLaurin can be. We all see All-Pro, Pro Bowl, Superstar, Hall of Famer in Terry McLaurin. We just got to hope that this coaching staff sees it as well. That even though he was getting double teamed and everybody said that, it was because he didn't have somebody playing beside him, which is true. But how much will he be targeted in this offense? Are they going to make sure that they do everything they can to get him the ball? Because again, we all see it. We all see it. And we don't want there to be a situation where Terry has to leave to get the props he deserves and the attention he deserves when it comes to throwing the ball to him. And we're sitting here watching our Hall of Famer become a Hall of Famer somewhere else. So we're definitely going to have to pay attention to Terry McLaurin's role in this offense. Number 8, and this is one that a lot of you may not agree with me on, but this is one that is going to be a massive story. The battle for the number 2 receiver position. Now, I get that a lot of you guys are going to say, wait a minute, we got Curtis Samuel. But understand this, Curtis Samuel is going to go from being the Swiss Army knife to now being the number 2 receiver. Now understand this is not going to be an easy transition. Even Curtis Samuel himself said that he's still learning the receiver position, which is very, very crazy because of the fact that, yeah, he is still learning it, but understand that this is all a part of us knowing who's going to be opposite of Terry McLaurin. How do I feel about it? I don't feel anything about it, but I will say this. Understand that the guys that are here, like a Cam Sims, like a Kelvin Harmon, they're not going to make it easy for Curtis Samuel to just take their position, because understand, for them, Kelvin Harmon is going to be the one that is really going to put the pressure on a lot of guys. I know everybody has this feeling that Kelvin Harmon can just be put somewhere, done, given, Kelvin Harmon may not make the team. No. Kelvin Harmon is the one who's going to push everyone because he's that good of a receiver. Understand this. He's not going to just let Curtis Samuel take his job. Not only that, Cam Sims actually had a fairly decent year. He was still dropping balls. Hopefully that is over, but understand, he actually put on a show. he may be fighting. Curtis Samuel for that number 2 job. Not to mention some of the other receivers that may do it. We may even see Adam Humphries somehow move into that discussion as well. So understand this. And then we're not even talking about the rookie Dyami Brown. I mean, it's no telling what he can bring to the table. So again, as much as people just feel that Curtis Samuel is going to be our number 2, remember, years ago, we also tried to convert a Swiss Army knife into a number 2 receiver. And that didn't work out when we did that with Antoine Randall El. Especially for a guy who's still talking about he's still learning the receiver position. So understand this. He has more competition than he probably even thought he was going to have. Not only that, Adam Humphries may have the competition he probably didn't think he was going to have, because he's going to be competing against possibly Curtis Samuel and Steven Sims if Steven Sims recovers. So again, battle for the number 2 receiver position is going to be massive. Number 9. Is this the year of terror for Chase Young and Montez Sweat? This is year 2 of them being a duo. Will they become the most dangerous young duo in all of the NFL? Because again, we're talking about a lot of the talk around the league right now is that Montez Sweat is possibly being undervalued by us as a fan base and as a franchise. They're talking about the fact that his ability to bat balls down is probably what contributed to Ronald Darby's excellent play. The fact that he gets into passing lanes and he bats balls down often. Not only that, they're talking about the fact that this may be the first time that we see both ends get 20 plus sacks in a season, which is to me fantastic. But will we see that? Will we see the devastation coming from Montez Sweat so much that we end up seeing Chase Young's numbers expand and Chase Young's numbers grow? This will be something that I would love to see. But will this be the year of terror for all these players? Because again, we're talking about facing top level competition at the quarterback position. But at the same time, will they be the catalyst that stop a lot of that talent at quarterback when it comes down to it? Last but not least, you guys all know it. Taylor Heinicke versus Ryan Fitzmagic. Now, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I mean, a lot of the talk coming out of minicamp did involve Taylor Heinicke outplaying Ryan Fitzmagic. Now, there is some other talk that was happening where they were saying that the reason they noticed that was because Ryan Fitzpatrick was being Ryan Fitzpatrick, which means he was overthrowing guys, he was throwing picks, people were getting he was getting balls batted down and everything like that. He did not look sharp or crisp. And the fact that after the minicamp was over, they explained to Ryan that he needs to understand the playbook a little more, and that there's talks that Ron Rivera is actually getting ready to possibly say that there will be a quarterback competition, and that competition will be with Heinicke and Fitzmagic. The thing about it is that Ron Rivera, I think he will go with Ryan Fitzpatrick in the course of I think he'll give Ryan Fitzpatrick that 4-game thing that he gave Dwayne Haskins. The problem with that is that Ryan Fitzpatrick is always better after the 3rd game. So I think that Ron Rivera is going to make a mistake of sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick too long, and then we're not going to make the playoffs. So that is that huge, massive story, because again, Taylor Heinicke, by all reports, has been outplaying Ryan Fitzpatrick the whole time. And again, even though people say, well, you got to get to training camp, let me tell y'all something. When it comes to mini camp, quarterback play can actually be viewed as a long-term thing, especially by the time you get to training camp. So if the quarterback isn't playing that well in mini camp, there's a chance he won't be playing that well when training camp comes around. So again, that will be the big battle. The big battle will be Heinicke versus Fitzpatrick. And I know we don't want to believe that, but it's going to be that big battle. Last but not least is my bonus story. And this is the one that coming out of training camp is going to be very vital. And that's Ron Rivera year 2 as the head man in Washington. Now, understand this. Ron Rivera made the playoffs and won. He won the division and made the playoffs with a 7-9 record. Now, understand this. Will he improve? Will this team improve to double-digit wins this year, so that we're not sitting in a situation where we're in the Jay Gruden era again? Because if you really think about it, if Ron Rivera wins the NFC East with a 8-9 record, he's basically doing the exact same thing that Jay Gruden was doing. I mean, when you really analyze it, Jay Gruden technically, if we look at 7-9 as a technical winning season, or not quite a losing season, we're talking about Jay Gruden technically hasn't really had a real losing season. I mean, you're talking about he had his very first year was his losing season. He went 4-12. The second year, they went 9-7 and made the playoffs. His third year, they went 8-7-1 and missed the playoffs. Then he had 2 straight 7-9 seasons. And then his very last season, he didn't even complete the season. So, is Ron Rivera going to get this team out of that middle ground where we're not good enough to make the playoffs, but also not bad enough to get a top 10 pick? So understand, we're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to see what Ron Rivera brings to this team, especially as a head coach in year 2. We're going to have to see, because again, for us to go 7-9 and make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure that nobody's going to appreciate 8-9 and not making the playoffs. Even though we're all going to be sitting here saying, well, he made the playoffs in his first year. Jay Gruden made the playoffs in his second year. So we're going to have to deal with that. We're definitely 100% going to have to deal with that. And we're going to have to see what Ron Rivera really brings to the table year 2. Because again, we can't be that middle ground team, because there are a lot of teams that always end up right in the middle. But at the same time, we can't be not good enough to make the playoffs, but not bad enough to get top 10 picks. It just can't happen, because why? We're too often we're in that middle ground. And at some point, we're going to have to do something big. Again, we're talking about, people are dismissing Dallas, but the fact that Dallas will be fielding the fastest linebacking core that we've ever seen. Let me repeat that. Dallas will be fielding the fastest linebacking core we have ever seen. Because Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons, and Jabril Cox will be the fastest linebacking core that that Washington will ever see. So we can't be sitting here middle ground this year. So hopefully Ron Rivera year 2 actually steps out and becomes something bigger than what we've had in our past seasons. But those are my top 10 stories, plus my bonus story going into training camp and during training camp and coming out of training camp. So with that, y'all tell me what y'all think the top story should be. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.